A couple weeks ago, I shared with you really just a cover shot of this studio notebook that I've started to keep. It's like part experiment log, like scientific journal, a place to capture all my ideas. And I thought I would share like why I'm doing it, what I'm doing in it, and what my hope for this process is as I grow my art practice. I'm so glad you're here, and we're just going to talk about this today, and hopefully it'll inspire you to want to create some kind of capture some of the ideas and processes and all the stuff that's floating around in your head about your art into one place. So let's take a look at what I've done. I'll flip you overhead, and we can talk about like what the future is of it and what I've already learned and what I'm sort of hoping to learn. And then I can also share with you some of the ways in which I'm capturing this information. So welcome. So happy you're here. First, I wasn't someone who documented my art practice. I just would create, and I just didn't document the process at all. And for those that don't know, I really started painting and drawing pretty seriously 5 years ago now. And so I was just doing, which is great. But as I'm starting to grow my practice, I kind of wanted a place where I could start to formulate some notes or capture ideas. And I was doing that on my phone a little bit, some ideas for paintings or some ideas for series that I wanted to do, but it wasn't in a cohesive place. And so I watched a video from a PhD student who is in the sciences, which, you know, this is not a science, this is an art. But I was intrigued with the idea that they keep these lab notebooks. And in fact, I took a bunch of notes during that. It's called experiment logging if you have a PhD. I do not, but it's called experiment logging. And they start with a hypothesis, what they're trying to prove, a method, how they're going to try to prove it, what the results are, and what the conclusion is. And although I'm not really doing a science project, I am trying to figure out the why or the purpose of a series or a painting or a collection, or, there is a why. There is something I'm trying to express in a theme. So this was interesting. And then they had a brain dump. So you just and everything you would just take out of your mind, just put it in the paper. Then a visual processing system, so maybe some symbols or things that mean things, and that you would be able to use that over time. Resource logging, so all the things you used, and then to rate the usefulness of them. So I thought that was interesting. So if you're doing any research on your project, you're logging where you got that information. Then there was continuous logging, which you could use a voice note and dictate or dictate it and then have it go to text, and you could print that and put that in your notebook. Incremental ideas, as things go, what are the incremental ideas? And then they suggested a weekly reflection. So reflect on what happened that week and what you might do next. And then maybe a consolidated log. So this was all from that video, which I'll link below, from from that PhD student. And I thought, this is fascinating. And although I'm not a scientist, I thought, how could I use this in my own studio practice? And so I have an entire box of these. These are no, not a brand, these were just bought on Amazon years ago, and I haven't really used them. And I thought these would be so cool as my experiment log for my studio. And as time goes on, they will tell a story of what's happening here in the studio. So let's just go through what I have so far and how I plan to use it. Oh, for one thing, this notebook right now is staying in my studio. I have a clip that it clips to, and then I can show you. It literally hooks onto the wall across from that's my desk. So it literally hooks right there. So right now it's staying there and not going with me into the world, but who knows, maybe that will change. Maybe it will go out with me in the world. If that's the case, I'll need to put my name and contact information on it. But right now it's just staying in the studio as a studio notebook. So another artist in a group I'm in with Ann Livingston posted this, and I used it as my front cover. I thought this was great. I think this might have been Simone that posted this. I'm not really sure, but I had never seen this quote by Vincent van Gogh, but it's, "I am seeking, I am striving, I am in it with my whole heart." And I thought, yes, that's sort of the feeling I want to have right now in this moment of being in my studio. So I have a quote. And then I just put the date up here when I started this because I thought that might be interesting as more notebooks go along. In fact, I might end up putting the date on the front or the back, the start and end, but we'll see. So in here, I just pretty much just wrote this same thing in here. And then I wrote out some of I wouldn't call it necessarily hypothesis because, again, I'm not a scientist, but kind of the overarching themes that I'm looking at my work right now, which is things like, this is all an experiment and it's a practice. I want to keep creating work, lots and lots of work. I want to explore and apply to shows, cohorts, and experiences. I want to promote the work and the process. And I want to sell the work, monetize the process. That's what obviously, doing these YouTube videos, that's part of that. And then in here, these were some of the things that I wanted to do that are business-wise. So for my studio, which I call Do Good Work Studio, I set up an online store that was integrated with YouTube, a mix of designed and original work in that store. I wanted to add my husband's studio, which is called Sticks and Stones, which I've done. I wanted to email my email list, which I have done. And you can sign up for that if you like. I'll put a link in the description. I send out a letter once a month with, things about my life and essays I've written and sometimes things about the shop and my art. And anyway, if you want to sign up, you can. I wanted to create a YouTube channel commercial, which I did, and then share that to these groups. So this is like what I've already done. I was just like trying to capture what have I already done? Because I don't know about you, but I forget. I just totally forget what I've done. And so then I did a little sort of hierarchy map. So we're in the Ozarks, and the town we live in is Eureka Springs. We live at Camp Wilder, and on Camp Wilder we have the two studios. We have my studio, and then we have my husband's. And I just wanted to document that, like where we are in place. And then my family and where they are, kind of the whole sort of their hierarchy. I put in my current goals, because I believe in writing goals helps you move them forward, and then reviewing them often also helps you. And so some of my goals are to have a slow, productive studio practice, to build a connected and supportive creative community, to participate in group creative opportunities. I want to bridge my design and art skills to produce unique work. I want to sell my work. And I have a big secret goal, which isn't much of a secret, but I want to have a thriving art practice and be collected well into my 70s and beyond. So these all then had code words: code slow, connected, show my work, merge, money, and vibrancy. For those that are wondering, I'm 55, so that is why into my 70s I would like to continue to be growing my practice and have it be even collected. So my first project, which is under code merge. So I took that idea, merge, and then I'm writing about what that is, and some of the pieces about that. So I'm writing about that. I'm writing about that. Then this is the art challenge that Anne Livingston is doing. And this would be under this idea of show my work. So what it is and how to be connected, what all the project entails and what I plan to do with the project, and different ideas that I have. Just really sitting down and spending about 10 minutes writing about what I want to do. Then I decided the whys. Why am I selling my work? Why do I want to do that? And I sat down and I wrote what that means to me. And then why a slow practice what that means to me. It's one thing to just come into your studio and work painting. It's another practice altogether to be reflective of what's happening in the studio, which is what this is all about. Then I'm working on standard pricing, and so this was the first run at that. This was standard pricing for work that's on canvas and wood, and this is standard pricing for work that's on paper. And I'm doing currently a price per square inch, and I'm not sure if this is where I'm going to land. This is where I am today, but I'm working through my pricing structure. And to have that captured in one place, and as it changes, or in multiple books as it changes, it'll allow me to go back and see where I was. This section is all about documenting my slow color art residency project. And so I'm just logging in where I am in that project. And I've left several pages for that because it ends in April. And so it'll allow me to log more in here, and maybe it'll go further. But that's what this is. So I put some pages in for that. And then I started that 100-day project, and this section is a log of that. So it'll allow me to do some reflection on that. And so that's what this is for me, is to not just have an art project where I'm making, but to have an art project where I'm reflecting. And I have to say that for myself, this has become a deepening of the work that I'm doing. A lot of my work is very childlike or naive in subject matter, I think you would say, or fantastical, or bright, fun. And I myself sometimes, I don't dismiss it, but I wonder if it's taken as seriously as people who are doing more representational work or work that has maybe harder or darker themes. And so to stay grounded in the place that I am in the work that I'm doing, this is actually deepening that practice. So although my work is light and fun and filled with a hopefulness, there's a layer there that is grounded in a lot of things that I'm processing, things that I am wanting for the world. It isn't just Lisa Frank, although, maybe she was deeper. I never watched that documentary, by the way, on her. Anyway, but so for me, I think because of my work as being so playful, that I don't feel that maybe other people take it as seriously, and I don't think that maybe I was giving it sort of the oomph that it could have either. If I want people to take my work seriously, I have to take my work seriously, and this is part of that. And I am feeling so much more just sort of grounded in the practice that I'm doing. And so I'm spending maybe 20 minutes a week, 2 or 3 minutes a day working in this notebook. It's not like I'm spending hours. This isn't about that. But it's a place for me to reflect, dream, think things through, cross stuff out and say, that's not for me today, but it's a place, so it's not just in my head. I don't know about you, but I keep so much in my head, and that this is now allowing me a place to put it out. And it's not on my phone. So that's another thing about this, is that this is a slow practice. Anything that's not in a digital realm allows me to slow down a little. It allows me to light an incense or light a candle and sit quietly and not have, notifications come up. So if I was taking notes on my phone, it's hard not to get distracted by other things. And also, this feels more special or more serious in a way, even though it's a, bright yellow book with, pink on it. It feels more important. And I think taking our work seriously is sort of that next level for artists, right? That we're taking it seriously might mean that other people might take it seriously too. And so even if that never does anything, I still feel like it's a richer experience for myself. And so I am loving it. And my thought is, when I fill it up, I will do another video so that we can talk about the whole process. But I didn't want to wait till then, because I wanted to show you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And if you have ideas of what I might be documenting, or what would be useful, or what you do to document your practice, I would love to know. I think that the more we do this and share about how we're doing this, the richer our own practices will be. And so, yeah, I hope that you try this. And if you do, let me know. And if you're considering it, let me know. Yeah, I am thinking about this as a way of exploring art practices that just elevates it, and this doesn't have to be just about painters. This could be about knitters, or, any kind of craftsperson, or, anyone that's making anything could take this and use this in their practice. And I think that's so cool to have this idea that not only is your work being done, you're creating this rich documentation about your whole practice. And who knows what will happen to that someday? Who knows who might be interested in that, or that you might be interested to know where you were. we forget how we grew or what changed or what project we were thinking of, or maybe we're stuck and we're like, oh, I don't know what to do. And you could go back to books that you had written years ago and maybe be excited about an idea again. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here for us to grow as makers and artists, all by documenting the process in an experiment log or studio notebook or whatever you want to call it. I think that there's real value in this. And so, yeah, I'm so glad to have shared it, and I'll keep going and then I'll share again. So whatever you're doing in the studio, remember, you're never wasting paint. You're never, ever wasting paint or paper or supplies. And I hope that whatever you're doing, you're documenting it in some way. I'll see you next time.